Gents, once again, welcome to the Front Runners podcast. Mazola's joining me. Stavich is in the house, and for the first time on the show, Timothy Batabaire, former Uganda international and the man who played for Wits. Thank you so much for joining us this Monday evening as we reflect on what's been happening in the world of football over the past week or so. And I guess a good place to start maybe is a good news story, looking at how Thabo Senong has taken Amajita to third place at the AFCON U20 in Niamey, and of course also them heading to the World Cup with that draw happening on the 24th of February in Poland. So a lot of exciting good news coming out of that. Let's reflect on that, Mazola. I mean, looking at what Thabo has managed to achieve with these youngsters, it's a good feather in his cap.
Of course, second successive World Cup qualification. They were in South Korea 2 years ago. I mean, it bodes well for his CV, you know, especially given, how he's, one could use the word sidelined from the senior team,
right.
Bafana.
Right.
And there he is focusing on what he knows best, which is talented youth in the country and putting a squad together. Mind you, his original professional squad, there had to be some players that actually dropped out because some PSL clubs, for one reason or the other, did not allow some of the players. I think I counted about 3 players from teams in the elite division were actually at the AFCON at the end of the day, despite him calling a few others. So he did it with, yes, he had a couple of overseas based players, like Leshaba Anehu from Leicester City, who we had not known too much about him, but we got to see a bit of him in this Nations Cup, and they got the job done. Obviously from a personal point of view, I think he would be disappointed maybe with a bronze medal. He would have loved to win the AFCON.
Sure.
But hey, I think the bigger picture was to get to the global showpiece in Poland in May.
Okay, I mean, really looking at that, third place isn't bad considering you didn't have all the resources that you wanted as far as personnel are concerned. It would have been a different story if you had gotten the pick of his choice as far as players were concerned. The bigger picture, Mazola says, is that showpiece as far as the World Cup is concerned. What else can we take from this third placing at the AFCON?
Yeah, I think for me, I know that the coaches came under very heavy criticism from the local football fans about the brand of football that was played by the team and all those things. But I think it remains our duty to educate our people on what is essential when it comes to this type of a tournament. Like Mazola is saying, the primary objective is to qualify for the World Cup. And also, you see, when you play the continental qualifiers, especially here in Africa, you look at the type of opposition that you are playing. And remember, under-20 is not a tournament like under-17 where you can subject teams to MRI scans.
I think I know where you're going with this one.
This one, I mean, we've seen, we saw. I mean, when you put a player like Promise Mukuma, player of the tournament at the COSAF under-20, and you saw the tractors was dealing with there, and those players, yes, they are there for their teams. I'm not going to mention the names of the teams, but I'm telling you, 3 years down the line, you will not even see them in the under-23. So these things happen, and we exist. We're part of this continent. If we are to go and make it to the World Cup, we have to make it through this type of qualifiers. So there's no time to complain. So for Senong, this was also his third consecutive AFCON tournament. So he's devised ways of how to win there. But also the other thing is that on the eve of the tournament, like Mazola is saying, he could get Lyle Foster because now he's just moved to Monaco, and I think he's going to play his UEFA youth game this week for the first time
against Chelsea,
with Monaco. And you also have a situation where Tashrik Matthews is just moved from Borussia Dortmund to FC Utrecht in Holland, and he could be getting senior football there. So there's all these things, and it's also about if you are looking at it, the calendar, this FIFA calendar thing, and sometimes it doesn't work well for all the confederations around the world. And look, continental qualifiers are difficult.
Yeah, very.
In South America, Brazil has not qualified for this under 20.
Very
Right.
difficult.
You know,
Yeah.
Defending champions Zambia couldn't go to this tournament because they lost to Burundi. You know, and Burundi that is struggling at the top level. You know, so when you look at these things, I think for me, Senong has done very well for himself, and it reminds me of the question that was asked when we had that session with Coach Stuart Baxter about where is Senong. He has not been part of the Bafana setup for a very long time, and the man continues to deliver.
Maybe that's better for him to work in isolation and then be able to be judged off his own merits and his own efforts.
But I think in an environment where we've been talking about continuity,
Yeah.
And synergy. And all these
we've seen
words,
this thing happening, especially under Sheikh Mashaba. And under Sheikh Mashaba, you would see even a top performing player from the under 17 getting a chance to train with the senior team, and from the under 20 and the under 23. In fact, the under 20 players would get there and not just train with the team.
They would
if there's a
stake a
chance,
claim,
they would even play.
Look at Ronaldo.
You know, and these are trends that we've seen internationally. And you know, when you are here with an international player, Tim, you made your debut at what time? At what age?
I think I was 19.
You see?
Yeah.
You see?
Yeah.
So, but we've seen this thing happening. In our case in Rivaldo, but I cannot say anything
Since Baxter took over.
Tim, what do you think that is? I mean, do you think Baxter is a man who's just thinking about the final result, which at this point for him is to qualify us, and he's thinking, I need to go with what I know and what I can trust, and is that lack of trust in youth gonna maybe come back to bite him?
Okay, it's very important to point out that the national team is the pinnacle of soccer or for the nation. So it's very important to know that it's not a building phase. So by the time a player is promoted to the national team, he must be able to deliver. So there is always that discussion of how you can give young players a chance to the national team. And it's very important for the fans to understand that it's not a grooming area for the young players. However, if you can use the under 17, under 20, and under 23, to prepare these players, by the time they are promoted to the national team, they are expected to deliver. So it's very important that that relationship between the national team coach and under 23 coach, under 20 and under 17 is in unison so that they can have a better project. So what is happening here, we have the PSL versus the South African Football Association watching Senong prepare the under 20, defending their title. He defended the title without the team that won the title previously. So the fact that SAF has given him an opportunity of time to have a pool of players and not sacked him and maintain him, has also played in favor of Amajita. So what is important right now is to make sure that Senong maybe is promoted along with his crop of players that has come along. Like under 23, you don't have a national team coach now. I don't see any better person who can take over, to be the national team under 23 coach. I think Senong fits that because most of his players is being promoted with him.
Sure.
And then you have that synagogue going in. Yeah, with the Baxter situation, it is... He has already tried to protect his reputation by saying, win or lose, I'm going.
Right.
For any smart coach, he would say that because he's already preempting what the journalists are gonna write and what the fans are gonna think about that. And then there's the issue of PSL and SAFA. So already he has put himself in a safe position, given his career. He has protected himself. It reminds me of Rafa Benitez telling Mike Ashley that, you know what, you have not given me all the players. So whatever happens at Newcastle, it's not my fault.
Right.
So it's very important to understand that. But if you look at the performance, the mandate of Senong was to make sure that team qualifies for the World Cup. So from where I'm coming from, my grooming was results are more important. And then once you get the result, you can have the flair. So in South Africa, I've come to experience a situation where they will put the ball between your legs. Even when the player loses the ball, the crowd is very happy with that. It doesn't make sense. So that's very interesting.
I always tell a story of this tournament. I was covering a tournament called Bay Hill. It's the premium youth football tournament. Bay Hill in Cape Town. So there's this team, Philippe United, who happened to be the feeder team to Chippa United at the time, coming from Philippe. So they're playing against Orlando Pirates. So this Pirates player, he receives the ball from the right back position, and just moves and does the matai. The crowd is still up here. Nice pressing from Philippe United. They take the ball. 2 touches. Goal.
Yeah.
The Pirates crowd were still celebrating.
Wow.
The matai. So it's the kind of mentality. As South Africans. Look, we've watched good South African players. Jabo Pule, he'll beat 3-4 players now, and they get a goal. But
It's the end result.
it's the end result that counts.
I think attending the COSAFA tournament, and in comparison to the rest of some southern teams compared to how Amajita was playing, I had the belief and conviction that at least the Amajita players are being coached rather than being trained, because there's a difference. Because some teams you could see that they are being drilled, being just trained but not coached. You have players who can have the interpretation of the game during the course of the game. They can change and even implement what the coach is asking them to do, and those are things that are being taught on the field of play during training. So once you have that, the players to be empowered, then they will understand that you can play with the ball. Try to tease the opponent, in which last third of the pitch, you're trying to to play into their minds. Maybe they are chasing the game, they need to equalize. You can do that. That's to the advantage of your team. So once you do that, that's advantage you. And then where do you do it? Because once you lose that ball, there's already movement from your own teammates that have already moved into position to support you. And once you lose that ball, then it's going to get punished. So players need to be educated when they should and when they should not do that.